Hello, welcome along to SportsBet TV. This is Paul Alster here with you as usual with my weekend bulletin for you at SportsBet, and I'm delighted to have you along. I'm looking forward to offering you tips for both Saturday and Sunday, 3 of them on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, and I'll be covering fixtures at Newmarket, Chester and the Curragh. So some really interesting and quite exciting tips I think I've got for you this weekend. If you are new to the service, press the red subscribe button just below this screen, then you'll be kept in touch with all my recommendations going forward, free of charge, of course, here at SportsBet TV. Last week was a cracking week. I hope you were on, most of you that follow me regularly, and we couldn't have started off better. As good old Guido for Katie Scott and Jason Hart really battled. He dug in at his favourite course. As I pointed out, he loves Ayr, and he got up in the last strides of that mile handicap at Ayr on Saturday to win at 12-1. So we knew as soon as he went in, it was going to be a winning day. The other winner, well, that was Equiano Springs. Now, this was an absolute delight because everything I suggested would happen did happen. First of all, there was no prices up. I was hoping he would be 5-1. He went up generally 6-1, then drifted out to 8. I know quite a few people would have taken the 8-1 before being absolutely hammered down to 100-30. So for the purposes of my statistics and my record, I'm judging him at 6-1 because there was general 6-1 and it did go 8. But I'm just going to go with the 6-1 and not be greedy. He was given a beautiful ride by Frankel's jockey, Tom Quealy. He loves this track, came home really powerfully up the hill, patiently ridden. When he hit the rising ground, he stretched out and he won very, very nicely. Tom Tate is a man that can target them and get it right. And that's exactly what happened. So we had a lovely double there with Guido and Equiano Springs. The other 3 failed to hit the targets. It was pretty tough in the huge sprint handicaps at Ayr, so 4th. But overall, a very, very profitable day, meaning we're well ahead already this month. And we're hoping to build on that. I'll come to the 4 selections in just a moment. But as I've been flagging up over the last few weeks, we are going to be starting a really exciting new subscription service where I'm going to be offering my thoughts to you at all Saturdays, all the big meetings, many Sunday fixtures, and the midweek racing when there are horses that I think are worth an interest. And you'll be getting information on that. You'll be receiving a link to a video coming up for our service, which is going to be called Out in Front. And we're hoping to be heading the pack with Out in Front. And looking forward to you signing up. It is going to be very, very affordable, believe me, and there'll be a range of options. And I think it's going to be very well worth your while. But I will continue to offer at least 1 or even 2 selections on a weekend, free here at SportsBet as well. But there'll be some really juicy stuff on Out in Front coming up very soon indeed. Right, enough of the advertising. Let's move on. We're going to have a really busy half an hour on Saturday because I have 3 selections and they all run. Well, actually, it's within the space of 20 minutes, the races go off. So you're going to have to get your bets queued up and ready to go. The first of them is at the Curragh on Saturday. The 3:20 Saturday is the Goffs Million. It's actually worth 1.234 million euros, this race. It's for 2-year-olds over 7 furlongs. Now, the forecast ground is yielding to soft. It may dry a touch. We don't really know. There are a few showers forecast. And there are 19 runners. Now, the rules for this race are that you have to have bought a yearling at the Goffs yearling sales of 2021. And that automatically gets you a ticket into this race if you choose to run. So it means that there are some good horses and there are some not so good horses, but they're all going to run because there's money paid down to at least 10th place. So a fascinating race. Now, amongst the good horses is the likely favourite Helsing for Jer Lyons, who's going to be about a 3-1 shot last time I looked. This bulletin, by the way, being recorded at around noon on Friday. So there will be plenty of changes in the prices that you'll be seeing when you get this bulletin or when you sit down to go through the form book yourself. But 3-1, the field with Helsing the favourite. He was second in a Group 3 at Leopardstown in July. And he won a listed race at Tipperary most recently over 7.5 furlongs. And he does set a good standard because he's rated 103, which is up to pattern race level, more or less. And the same owner also has a runner sent over from Britain from the Roger Varian yard, which as I'm sure you know, you don't need me to tell you, has been absolutely red hot. He had 7 winners last Saturday, did Roger Varian. A brilliant piece of training. And he's got a horse here called New Endeavour, who on the face of it looks to have a mountain to climb on the figures. Won at Kempton last time, but they obviously feel he's improving and he's going to take a chance because you've got to be in it to win it, haven't you? So that's New Endeavour. Now, Aidan O'Brien has a fascinating horse called Hiawatha. He costs 1.2 million euros, this colt, and he is a full brother to Luxembourg, who, of course, won the Champion Stakes in Ireland a few weeks ago. So he is superbly bred. I know he's in quite a few lists for next year's Guineas and Derby and all that kind of thing. He was second on his first 2 runs in Maidens, which was disappointing to Connections, but things dropped into place last time out. He won over a mile, and he should be able to cope with the drop back in trip. He is classy, but it remains to be seen just how good he is. Is he going to be anywhere near as good as his brilliant full brother, Luxembourg? Now, Joseph O'Brien's horses are running particularly well at the moment. He's got a horse called Zoe Innocent, who was a half-length second in a Group 3, the Silver Flash Stakes over 7 furlongs at Leopardstown in July, and was 5th last time out in a Group 2 over the course and distance. Good old Johnny Murter has got Bossy Parker, who's on a hat-trick, but his wins have come in nurseries, and this will be much tougher. And Archie Watson sends a once-race horse over called He's a Monster. He's just had the 1 run and he won very comfortably on debut at Chelmsford. This is a very different kettle of fish. He's on turf, he's on a straight track, and he's really up in grade. But I think there's no doubt that Archie can train them, and they obviously feel he's worth his ticket. But the one I think is worth at least a second glance here is another British raider, and it's called Oviedo. Oviedo is trained in Yorkshire by Edward Bethel and is the mount of Kevin Stott. Now, he's an interesting runner, this horse. He's by Lope de Vega, who's an excellent sire, and he wasn't cheap. He cost 150,000 euros as a yearling, and that's pretty expensive for this yard. So they obviously decide to really go for it with this one. His dam is a half-sister to a Group 1 winner, so there's some very good blood coursing through Oviedo's veins. Now, he won on his debut. That was at Doncaster over 7 furlongs in July, a novice stakes. He won it well. Has to be said, the form isn't outstanding. The placed horses haven't done too much, but he could do no more than run and win well first time out. That's all you can ask of any horse. And then he went on to run in the Group 3 Acomb Stakes at the York Ebor Festival, and he ran really well to finish 3rd. It was only the 2nd run of his career, and he was a little bit free early on, probably buzzed up a bit by the really big crowd and the atmosphere. But despite that, he kept on really well, I thought, to be keeping on in 3rd to Chaldine and Indestructible. Now, those two have subsequently finished 1st and 2nd again, but in the Group 2 Champagne Stakes at the Doncaster St Leger meeting. Now, that places Oviedo pretty much as a group-classed horse, in my view. He was also slightly hampered in the race at York, I think you'll find if you watch the rerun. Now, the winner, Chaldine, is 3rd favourite for the Group 1 Dewhurst Stakes in 2 weeks' time. So that really shows that Oviedo has been operating at a high level, and I think he's going to run very well indeed. Now, he's from a small yard, and so you're always going to get slightly better odds when they come from the smaller yards, because bookies tend to look down their nose, I think, a bit at trainers with small strings. Because of that, I think he's going to be a fair price. He is the first ever runner in Ireland for Ed Bethel, who, of course, took over the licence last year from his trainer father, James, who did very well over the years up in the north and on his frequent raids to Newmarket, where he was pretty dangerous. The each-way value, I think, for this horse, and at the time of recording, he's 9-1 each way, and that is with 5 places offered with Bet365. I think that's a fair offer for Oviedo, to surprise the likes of Aidan O'Brien, Ger Lyons, Joseph O'Brien, Johnny Murter, etc., in the Goffs Million at the Curragh on Saturday at 3:20. And then on to the 3:25 race, which might even be off before they cross the line at the Curragh, so do mind your bets. It is a 2.25 mile handicap at Chester, and it's worth 100,000 quid, so a big prize gone in for this one. And good to see 16 runners turning up, so bookies will be playing the very minimum 4 places. I'm sure some will pay 5 and even 6. And the going is forecast good to soft on the Rudy. Now, Ian Williams, who does really well in staying races at Chester, has got the two top weights. Alfred Boucher has done brilliant things this year. He won, beating our old favourite Franken Stella by 3 lengths at York in a 2-mile handicap at the Ebor fixture. He then turned out again to run in the Ebor itself, and he only got beaten a short head by Trawlerman. It was a wonderful effort, 2 big runs within the space of 4 days. Franken Stella has another crack at Alfred Boucher, by the way, and is £6 better off for the 3 lengths, so might not be far away. Now, Ian Williams also has Rashun, who stays very well indeed, won the 2021 Ascot Stakes over 2.5 miles plus. And this horse has twice been placed in Group 2s of late, so I think will not be far away. Now, an old favourite of this service is Anna Bernina, who I tipped when she won the Scottish Champion Hurdle earlier this year. She's trained by John McConnell in Ireland, and she's been in really good form over the sticks this season at a decent level. And she also won last time out on the flat over 1.75 miles at Killarney, but she has to go up more than half a mile here. It'll be interesting to see if she manages to stay. Another horse in good form is David Sincock's Smart Champion. He's come back to form this summer with wins over 2 miles at Beverley in June and most recently at Kempton, and he is feasibly handicapped on the best of his old form. But as you know, I've mentioned it a few times, the old adage, horses for courses, is well worth noting, and it worked for us really well last week with both Guido and Equiano Springs, course specialists at the track at which they both managed to win again last Saturday. And there's a horse who goes particularly well at Chester, who I think is worth an interest at a big price, and his name is Mirando. Mirando is trained by Andrew Balding and is the mount of the good young apprentice rider William Carver, who claims £3. Well, there's no two ways about it. Mirando's cracking on. He's 9 years old now. He's been a wonderful servant to the yard. He's won 7 good races and has placed in 9 more. And at his best, he's been rated 117, which is Group 1 level. And that was back in 2019. Now, he loves Chester. And those of you with a little bit of a memory may remember that back in 2019, he absolutely wiped the floor with the previous year's St. Ledger winner, Kew Gardens. He beat him by 8 lengths in the Ormond Stakes. That was on soft ground. He went on later that season to win the Cumberland Lodge Stakes at Ascot as well. Now, he hasn't won since the Cumberland Lodge of 2019. He's had 15 runs, but he has run plenty of good races at a high level. And last year, for example, he was only beaten a length here over 1.75 miles in a listed race of a rating of 105. Now, he was 6th of 17 this year in the Old Newton Cup. And now that was one of only 3 runs he's had this year, but that showed that he still retains his ability when conditions are right for him. He does like a bit of juice underfoot ideally, but he does go on good ground as well. And then last time out, after 2 months off, he ran in a 4-runner race, which was a muddling affair at Goodwood over 2 miles. He was beaten less than 5 lengths. That was by Agagio, and he was keeping on in the closing stages off a mark of 99. Now, that said to me that this horse still retains his enthusiasm and much of his old ability. Now, he's rated 97 now, he's gone down. Plus, if you factor in the £3 claim of William Carver, he's effectively running off 94. And he's going to tackle 2.25 miles for the first time. And if he's going to tackle it anywhere, it has to be at this track at Chester, which he really loves. He's got 2 wins and 2 places from 5 starts. So he really does go well here. Andrew Balding also has a 21% strike rate at the track, so does particularly well here. Any rain will be a really big plus for him. There aren't many firms. In fact, there's only one firm up at the time. I looked at this just before coming on air at 12 noon on Friday, and that was William Hill's. And they've sort of tested the market at 22 to 1 each way for 5 places. I expect he'll easily be available at 25 to 1. I can't imagine too many of the firms being concerned about a 9-year-old trying a new trip. Let's put it that way. But I think that he has the ability to make his presence really felt. And I think he's worth one more shout. Mirando, 22 to 1 at least each way at Chester in the 325. And then moving on to the big race of the day on Saturday, which is at 3:40 at Newmarket. So they'll be arriving at the post there. just as they finish off at Chester. And it is the Cambridgeshire, the first leg of the autumn double, the 340 at Newmarket. Just the 29 runners in this handicap over 9 furlongs. The going is good. We're not sure quite if there's going to be a few showers or if it's going to be mainly dry. There's mixed forecast, but it may even be good to firm in places if the rain doesn't hit, because there's always a drying breeze on the Rowley Mile. Now, it's a big handicap. It's a Saturday, so you know the score. William Haggart is going to have the favourite, or so we think. That's Mujtabar, who won really well at Doncaster 2 weeks ago. He's got a £4 penalty for that because this race was an early closing race. He's actually £3 well in, because the handicapper hasn't had chance to reassess him based on that win at Doncaster 2 weeks ago. So he's technically well in, and he's around the 9-2, 5-1 shot at the best for Mujtabar. And his stable companion Protagonist is the second favourite after wins at Doncaster and Sandown. He's gone up £7. He's around 8-1. Then you've got Savvy Victory for Sean Woods and Ryan Moore, a very eye-catching booking. A winner at Goodwood last time out over 1.25 miles. He's picked up a £4 penalty, but a bit like Mujtabar, he benefits from the early closing of the race and is £2 officially well in on the figures. Now, Godolphin had won this race before. Indeed, they won it last year with the surprise package Bedouin Story. And this year they run 4 with First View, Electrical Storm, Brilliant Light, and Night of Luxury, who I thought was quite interesting for Josie Gordon. They've all got chances. You've got the 2020 winner for the Coles, Majestic Dawn, who's now £18 higher than when he won it 2 years ago, but he remains a very talented performer. But with your permission, given that it's such a cavalry charge, I'm going to suggest a couple of horses here, one of whom is likely to be at his best if it's slightly on the soft side if the showers come, and one who's going to be at his best if it's going to be on a slightly quicker than good ground. So I'm trying to kind of permit a little bit here. Now, the first of them is Injazati, who's trained by Charlie Fellows and is the man of Jamie Spencer. Now, Injazati is only a 4-year-old. He's only run 8 times. He's won 3 of them and been placed a further 3 times. So only twice in his career has he been out of the money. He's best on good ground with a little bit of cut in it. Good to soft would be ideal for him. He was unraced as a 2-year-old, so he's still maturing, this horse. He won 3 races last year as a 3-year-old, including the Autumn Cup at Newbury over 1.25 miles, where he beat Sam Cook, who's a decent sort. He's only had 2 runs this year, a very promising 3rd of 11 on his debut on soft ground to Baryshnikov at Pontefract in April. And then he was given a break. He was due to run at the Ebor meeting, but you remember the ground there became very quick and they didn't chance him on that. So instead, they ran him in a listed race at Windsor a few days later. He'd actually been off the track nearly 5 months. He ran really well. He led them all the way down to the furlong pole, where he gradually weakened in need of the run. He finished 5th of 8 to Cresta, and I think that will have put him absolutely spot on. He's unexposed, he stays, he will race prominently, so hopefully stay out of trouble. And the odds at the time of this recording, best odds on offer, 20-1 each way. That's with Ladbrokes, Coral and Bet365. They're offering 6 places. But do remember to shop around, because I'm sure there will be some firms offering 7 and even 8 places on the Cambridgeshire. So definitely keep your options open. So that's in Injazati at 20s. The other one is a horse called Parato, another 4-year-old, and this one trained by Derby-winning trainer Marcus Dragoning, and he's got Irish star jockey Billy Lee on board this one. Now, Parato is a 4-year-old with much more experience than Injazati. He's a different kind of a horse. He's won 4 of 22 and been placed a further 8 times, so he's got a better than 50% place record at least, and many of them in very good races. And you may recall Royal Ascot 2021, where he won the Britannia Handicap. He is really well suited by a straight mile plus, and that's what he's going to get here. He won the Britannia off a mark of 99 on good to firm ground, and he likes it when it's good or better. He was only beaten a length last year in a Group 3 in August of last year, and he was 5th to Ben Battle in a Group 2 in the Joel Stakes at this very meeting last year, and that is hot form. Now, this year, he's been running 5 times And on the face of it, he looks disappointing because in his last 3 races, he's been last each time. Indeed, I think he's only beaten the 1 horse in his last 4 races. So if you just say that, he's only beaten 1 horse home in 4 races, you think, well, he's obviously struggling and you don't want to touch him. But the fact is, if you look at the races he's been running in, they've been small fields where he's normally been beaten, not very far at all. And some of them have been good races, including the Superior Mile. He was beaten less than 2 lengths in that Group 3. And I think he's having his first run in a handicap over a mile or further since his win in the Britannia Handicap. And I think this is his optimum conditions. The muddling pace of small races does not suit him. And this solid end-to-end gallop should be perfect for Parato. So I'm prepared to give him a chance with a top jockey board. I think he's ready for this. And they're offering 28-1 each way for 7 places with William Hill at the time of this recording on Sunday lunchtime. So take a look at those 2. They're my 2 against the field. Injazati at 20s and Parato at 28-1 in the Cambridgeshire on Saturday, Newmarket 340. Well, then you're going to have to wait just over 24 hours for my final choice. And that's back at the Curragh on Sunday, where there's some tremendous racing. And there is a really huge prize for the Irish Cesarewitch, which is off at 4:15. €600,000 in prize money for a staying handicap. That puts it right up there with the Ebor. And you've got some very, very smart handicappers taking their chance for that money, as you would expect. It's over 2 miles. There are 30 runners. The going is expected to be yielding, which is what we call in Britain good to soft or thereabouts. Now, a lot of the horses running in this race are smart dual-purpose horses, really good 2 and 2.5 mile hurdlers, as well as good flat specialist staying handicappers. Willie Mullins has won this race 3 times in the last 7 renewals, and he runs 5 this year. They include the top weight Tax for Max, who was a group class horse in Germany and has become a decent hurdler. Willie also runs the likes of Whiskey Sour, who's a really good old stick, and Echoes in Rain. The latter beat another of Willie's horses who's running here, Maze Runner, and that was at the Galway Festival in a hot staying handicap over 2 miles, 1 furlong in July. So he's really got some good horses lined up for this one. Aidan O'Brien, of course, doesn't like to miss out at a big prize in Ireland. He's got Waterville, who was scraped in at the bottom of the weights, number 30. He is a 3-year-old taking on older horses. He's only got 8 stone 9. So he's just sneaked in, and he's going to go off favourite, we think, at about 4-1. He won over 2 miles, 1 furlongs in a little staying handicap at Limerick in June off 84, and has since been second to Point King. That was over 1 mile and 5 furlongs at Leopardstown. So he is a very interesting runner. He's also got Wordsworth, who was 3rd in a Group 2 over 1 mile and 3/4 last time out. So Aidan has got 2 very good chances. Another Irish trainer doing great things this season is Paddy Toomey. I'm sure you're aware. His Earl of Tyrone is running in this. Remember him finishing a very close 3rd in the Ebor. He's disappointed since, but that was back over 1.5 miles, and the race might have come a bit too soon there, I think, for him. And he's got French Claim as well. Now, here's an interesting runner. He was 3rd in the Irish Derby in the Group 1. He was beaten 9 lengths, admittedly, by Rafe Beckett's really good winner. But he's a classy horse. He was 7th last time out in the St. Leger at Doncaster to Eldar Alderhoff, and he's rated 108. Then Joseph O'Brien runs 9. He's got 9 runners, the highest weighted of which is Cleveland. And Cleveland was only beaten a neck in a Group 3 over 1.5 miles at Leopardstown in August. But it's actually one of his other 8 runners that takes my eye here. And the horse is called Ruling, trained by Joseph O'Brien, the wonder kid of Irish racing. And the mount of Scott McCullough, who's a very capable young Irish apprentice. As you know, regular followers will know that I broadcast a lot on Irish racing. I keep a close eye on the form there. And Scott McCullough is very talented. Now, this Ruling is a horse, I think, that's flown under the radar here. He's a 4-year-old. He's rated 101. And he's got 9 stone 7. and then you can take off the £3 claim. Now, he's only had 6 runs, so he's very inexperienced for a horse running at this level, but because of that, he's unexposed. He's very well bred by Camelot, cost 210,000 guineas. He's now at Gelding. He was in good form in middle distance maidens last year in 2021, including when a close second of 18 runners to the Mediterranean, only beaten just over a length at Leopardstown. Now, that winner of the Mediterranean went on to prove the form red hot because he went on to be rated 114. That form, I think, does suggest that ruling might well have got in here off a very workable mark. He was unsuited by good to firm ground last year when he ran in the Group 2 Queen's Vase. That wouldn't have suited him. And he was gelded after that. And he was off a long time after winning his maiden at the Curragh last September. So he broke his duck there. He won by 9 lengths. He was different class to them in the maiden company. Then he was off 11 months. So he obviously had a slight issue, but then they ran him at Killarney just a few weeks ago on August the 18th. And my goodness me, he ran a really good race. I watched it time and again. He was beaten just over 4 lengths when 4th to Cape Gentleman. Now, Cape Gentleman won the Irish Cesarewitch a couple of seasons ago. So the form, I think, is good. And he was there with every chance. Just no extra in the closing stages, the final furlong. And he was trying to give £4 to Cape Gentleman, coming back after an 11-month break. And I think that will have put him absolutely spot on, right in the groove here for this race. He represents a top yard, who of course are throwing a lot of arrows at this, 9 chances. But I just think that ruling is better than his bare form suggests. And he is offered at the time of this recording at 28 to 1. And that is with William Hills each way. And that's going to be for about 6 places, I think. I haven't written it down, so that's by memory. But by the time you see this bulletin, I'm sure there'll be loads of firms betting, and the odds may well have drifted. Of course, they might well have shortened up. It's amazing how many do tend to shorten up once the video goes out. But anyway, maybe it's just coincidence. Then again, maybe not. We'll keep our fingers crossed that ruling runs well on Sunday, and the other 3 do themselves justice on Saturday, the other 4 in those 3 races. I'll look forward to seeing you this time next week with our SportsBet bulletin, and do keep an eye out for our message about the new subscription service out in front that is going to be coming to you very, very soon indeed. And I'm really excited that I'll be able to communicate with you in real time on those particular broadcasts. But for now, from me, Paul Alster, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.